What was that?
Deep beneath Yellowstone National Park, and it's...
That just came out? Was it good?
That water is also wearing under her bikini things to make sure that she will not be exposed no matter what. I've seen too many nip slips on Twitch, so she's actually wearing an underneath thing to keep everything covered, even if the bikini came off completely, similar to what a body painter streamer does on Twitch. So, actually it was okay, and you guys didn't see anything anyways. But if it was close up, she wouldn't have, so just for context, mods or anyone watching this clip wouldn't get banned, because if you had to ban that, you'd have to ban every single motherfucking body paint stream that's ever existed on Twitch. You don't want to do that, do you, Twitch? Exactly. So 5 head thoughts. I'm not getting banned today.
Love for Doru.
It's okay. We took care of things properly. All right. Context matters, right, Nim? Right. Oh wait. Fuck. Damn. Yep.
Gone, good.
Damn. Yep. Twitch didn't go by that.
Yo. What was that? What is that? COD 3, it says Black Ops 2, thank you. Just dog is making a map with no face cam.
Cash App those takes seconds.
I couldn't believe
download Cash App in the App Store, Google Play Market today.
Guys, deadass, just go download Cash App. It's a great app. They support our team.
Yes.
They love 100 Thieves. We
Yes.
love them. Cash App is fucking dope. This
Hold up.
guy's got the Cash App logo on his jersey.
Boom, we love Cash App.
Guys, I'm telling you, it's so easy. Go download Cash App and start sending money. Go play WoW.
Special day today.
Very special day.
Yeah. Because we have one of the kings, the kingpin.
Chat. Am I somebody who feels like their fucking mix amp settings are all fucked up and their voice sounds like muffled?
Cash App those takes seconds.
I couldn't believe it.
Download Cash App in the App Store, Google Play Market today.
Guys, deadass, just go download Cash App. It's a great app. They support our team.
Yes.
They love 100 Thieves. We
Yes.
love
I
them.
get
Cash
the
App
juice,
is fucking
baby.
dope. This guy's
Proud
got
to
Cash
be here
Nate
for
Shot's
almost a year already.
mic is
We love old PVC.
sounds fine. I don't think so, dude.
Cash App is fucking dope. This guy's got the Cash App logo on his jersey.
Boom, we love Cash App.
Guys, I'm telling you,
He sounds like he's like talking like behind like a fucking bandana or something, dude.
it's so easy. Go download Cash App and start sending money. Go play WoW.
Special day today.
Very special day.
Yeah. Because we have one of the kings, the kingpin. Cash App those takes seconds.
That's kind of wholesome, dude. That's kind of cool podcast. Dude, my hair looks like shit today. What happened, dude? Nobody said anything. Holy fuck, dude. I look fucking retarded.
Picturesque hot springs lurks a monster of deep beneath Yellowstone National Park and its picturesque hot springs lurks a monster of unimaginable proportions, waiting in a very fitful slumber and ready to wipe humanity off the face of the earth.
Imagine
Directly
being
under
a
the
DC
national
fan.
park, one of the
Oh
most
my God,
visited
is that
in the
Thanos
world,
in Fortnite
lies a
podcast
plume
that I
of liquid magma
Or
5 miles deep. Itself fed by a huge plume of molten rock that boils up from deep beneath the Earth's crust. The churning magma directly beneath Yellowstone is so voluminous that it regularly causes the entire national park to rise and fall by inches at a time. From time to time, the pressure beneath Yellowstone gets to be too much and a volcanic eruption occurs, although overwhelmingly these are relatively
I didn't know
minor
that. That's
and
kinda
are
crazy.
comparable in size to a moderately sized traditional volcano. However, every 600,000 years or so, the pocket of magma beneath Yellowstone builds up so much pressure that the entire park explodes outwards in an incredibly violent event known as a supervolcano eruption. Such an eruption can have widespread consequences for the entire Earth, enveloping the planet in volcanic ash and plummeting global temperatures, causing a small ice age, which can decimate all life. In North America, though extinction is all but guaranteed,
Wait, can't you make like warehouses and shit, and like put a bunch of heating inside, so you won't die?
We should thank our lucky stars that these super eruptions happen so rarely. Yet today, scientists have confirmed that Yellowstone can and will blow its top in a super eruption by the end of this year, 2019, or at any time in the next 400,000 years. By discovering geological evidence of past Yellowstone eruptions, scientists have been able to pinpoint 3 major eruptions, with the first being 2.1 million years ago, the second 1.3 million years ago, and the third 630,000 years ago. This has led some scientists to predict that Yellowstone is likely to blow again in the next 500,000 years or so, meaning that it could happen as soon as tomorrow. It could happen by the time you finish watching this video, or it could happen later today when you're on your way to the store. Boom! You're trying to buy some snacks and instead you get the extinction of the human race. Point is, Yellowstone is trying to kill all of us and it could happen at literally any time. But as many scientists point out, 3 data points is far from sufficient for establishing a reliable pattern. Right now, Yellowstone seems to have a recurrence interval of between 500,000 and 1 million years, which would put us overdue for a major eruption. Yet with only 3 data points, the previous eruption cycles could have been abnormalities and not an actual pattern. Yellowstone might never explode again, instead maintaining low-level volcanic activity until the North American tectonic plate slides away from the bubble of hot magma under Yellowstone. Or Yellowstone could be waiting for you to fall asleep tonight, to murder you and everyone you love in your sleep. There's just no way to tell with such little data. If or when Yellowstone blows, though, it's going to be one for the record books. If there's any humans left alive to keep records. That last eruption 640,000 years ago ejected
this will be on a
1,000 cubic
testimonial, so
kilometers
please
of
take
material,
notes.
enough to bury all of Texas 5 feet deep in volcanic ash. By comparison, one of the largest eruptions in the modern age happened when the Novarupta volcano blew its top in 1912, resulting in 13 cubic kilometers of material. That's basically the difference between a hand grenade and a 2,000-pound bunker-busting munition. But what if Yellowstone woke up tomorrow and decided it was sick and tired of all the tourists taking selfies atop its head? What if at last Yellowstone punched our ticket and did its best to wipe out the entire human race? Imagine you're visiting the most famous national park in the world with your family. You're all excited to see Old Faithful because watching hot water shoot up into the air is apparently the neatest thing since sliced bread. Grudgingly, you tag along though, and when you get to the hot springs, you have to admit that they are kind of beautiful. Thanks to specialized bacteria that live in the really acidic and extremely hot water, the springs are colored in a rainbow explosion of colors.
That's
and you
cool
can't help
shit.
but snap a selfie up against a backdrop that looks like a giant vomited Skittles all over the landscape. But as you're lining up the perfect selfie, you suddenly feel the ground underneath you start shaking. It's over in a second though, so you figure, whatever, just a small quake. Then, though, there's another mini quake, and then a third. Suddenly, Old Faithful in front of you explodes in a showery display of superheated water. But there's a problem. It's early, like really, really early. Typically, the park rangers predict when Old Faithful will blow based off the height of the previous eruption and its duration. And it's been just a few minutes, and suddenly, here she is again, spewing hot water 100 feet into the air. Something's not quite right, so you and your family decide to make a semi-calm dash for the car.
By the time the
You're a
water
pretty
comes
smart
down, it'll
cookie.
be cold,
You do
though.
subscribe to the infographic show after all, so you're aware that the swarm of mini quakes could be bad news. Very, very bad news. As you start making your way to the park exit, you do some reading up on Yellowstone and come across a host of articles online all saying that there's been a massive amount of earthquakes in the area over the last couple months. What you don't realize, however, is that all of those earthquakes have been the result of a massive bubble of magma, slowly making its way to the surface, riding along that 5-mile plume deep beneath the earth. As the magma was forced upwards, it triggered swarms of earthquakes for months, which all rumbled and shook the rock directly above it, shattering them and paving the way for an eruption. You make it to the park exit, when suddenly there's a major earthquake, much bigger than anything before. To your horror, the earth cracks open all around you, and rivulets of magma start streaming out from several dozen places around the park. The road you're on splits and cracks, leaving impassable crevices and holes. Cars are officially useless. So
everybody's
you
gonna
do
die anyway,
what
right?
seems like the logical thing and get out and start running. You're not sure where exactly to run, but your brain has a pretty good idea that away is as good a direction as any. As you pump your feet though, the earth rumbles one final time, and suddenly, the Yellowstone caldera explodes outward, no longer able to resist the incredible pressures building from below. For you, the story is over here. If you're caught in the actual explosion, then your body, down to the bones, will become part of the giant ash cloud belching up into the sky. Magma up to 2,400 degrees
Doesn't sound too
incinerates
bad.
your body. but not before superheated and very toxic gases that envelop you fry your lungs to carbon. Death is instantaneous, with the incredible
one
heat
tap.
boiling your brain in milliseconds and causing your skull to explode outwards from the buildup of steam. Congratulations, because you're officially one of the lucky ones. For the rest of us,
Told you.
Yellowstone has a much longer, lingering death in store. Volcanic explosions rock an area of about 40 miles or so, ejecting millions of tons of lava. Volcanic ash, made up of pulverized rock and jagged shards of glass, makes its way into the atmosphere, where the winds begin to spread it around the surrounding countryside in an almost perfect umbrella shape. Over the next few weeks, a whopping 240 cubic miles of ejecta is spit out by the Yellowstone volcano, though only about a third of it makes it into the atmosphere. That's more than enough, however, to bury the entirety of the northern Rockies in an astonishing 3 feet of ash. Wyoming, Idaho, Colorado, Montana, and Utah are all paralyzed by the extremely acidic ash. Residents of these states will begin to die by the thousands due to the inhalation of ash, which fills the lungs and suffocates, but also cuts and lacerates the lungs and trachea thanks to the very sharp and jagged particles of glass. Venting of highly noxious gases across the 40-mile eruption zone also spreads
Why don't you just wear a mask?
suffocating and toxic gases across hundreds of miles of terrain, making its way into the underground shelters of the few survivors who lived through the initial explosion. Hydrogen sulfide and other gases kill tens of thousands in their sleep, silently suffocating victims. 3 feet of ash also paralyze industry and travel. Roads are impassable, and the very fine ash wreaks havoc in vehicles, damaging electronics and gumming up even the most robust engines. Emergency services are effectively shut down, and air travel in the region is impossible. Anyone caught in the area of the northern Rockies is doomed, with no hope for escape. To make matters worse, the ash also wends its way into rivers and lakes, even down to the subsurface aquifers, where it poisons the water. Millions of thirsty survivors are forced to drink brackish water, which slowly poisons them, killing them in a matter of weeks or even days. In a
Who the fuck drinks tap water all the time like that?
few days, the ash clouds move over the Midwest and lay down
the US
thick
anyway.
carpets of black ash half a foot thick. By day 4 of the eruption, no air travel across the heart of the United States is possible. And here too, the ash paralyzes all forms of ground transportation as well. Power plants shut down, their equipment damaged by the ash clouds, or starved of the oil and gas they need to operate, thanks to a nationwide traffic shutdown. To make matters worse, the Midwest grows the majority of the U.S.'s crops, and the thick ash suffocates all vegetation. Here too, the ash poisons water supplies, and clean drinking water becomes an extreme
Guys! Even fucking New Zealand dies, dude. Everybody dies.
rarity. By the end of the week, an inch or two of ash has fallen on both the east and west coast. Despite being so close to Yellowstone, prevailing wind patterns have prevented much of the ash from making its way to California and other west coast states, although now they find themselves with 2 inches of dangerous volcanic ash. The fine particles wreak havoc on electronics, and much of America's modern infrastructure is destroyed. Just about every drinking source in the United States is contaminated to some degree, and FEMA rushes to try and provide decontamination kits to a surviving population of 300 million. The rest of the world breathes a sigh of relief. They have, after all, avoided the biggest bullet in the history of mankind. Yet, what they don't realize is that the Yellowstone eruption has put millions upon millions of tons of sulfur aerosols into the atmosphere, and these begin to reflect sunlight back into space. Within weeks, the entire planet is wrapped in a cloak of sulfuric particles, and so much sunlight is being reflected back into space that global temperatures drop by a degree. At first, the planet barely notices the temperature drop, helping to stabilize global warming trends thanks to mankind's carbon emissions. But over the following weeks, the temperature drops even more. The Pinatubo eruption in 1991 cooled the planet by 0.7 degrees, and the Tambora eruption of 1815 led to what was termed the year without summer, causing widespread crop failures. Yellowstone's eruption is many, many times greater than either of those two, and now temperatures drop so low that winter officially lasts for 80 years, a prediction based off the effects of 2 previous eruptions. Mankind digs in for an 80-year Game of Thrones LARP event, because winter is officially here, and it's not leaving for 8 decades. Some regions of the planet may remain habitable, and crops may be sustainable in small numbers along the equatorial regions of the planet. However, the vast majority of humanity will die off, and those that survive will quickly learn to stay out of direct sunlight, no matter how cold they are, thanks to those same sulfuric aerosols that brought us seasons 9 through 89 of Game of Thrones.
This is kind of like fake
the
on a
ozone
little
layer
bit.
is so damaged that harmful UV radiation bakes the planet, causing sunburn within minutes. Eventually, the ozone layer will restore itself and the environment will return to a normal state. But in all likelihood, both of those things will happen far too late for our technologically dependent species to survive. Yet it's important to remember that, terrifying as this scenario is, scientists are reasonably sure that there's little reason to worry, as Yellowstone may never erupt again, or it could erupt tonight while you're sleeping. Your brain has a
sorry about that.
on the giant super. Like we said, there's just not enough data points to know for sure. How would you try to survive a Yellowstone eruption? Think we could find a way to vent the pressure on the giant supervolcano and save ourselves? Let us know in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more great content before Yellowstone kills us all.
We forgot.
Well, chat.
We forgot.
Let's just watch God of War, dude. Let's go. Just kidding. That's not it. We're gonna get fucking. We're gonna get GG'd.
xQcP soon, xQcP soon, xQcP soon, xQcP soon, xQcP soon. "19 months POG.
Good evening.
Your content was removed due to validation of the
xqcOW.
Wait, what?
1 year of stutters and raging.
Hold up.
Pogu.
What's happening?
I dropped my chicken tendies. Fuck. 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 Fuck.
Yo, excuse me?
Hey extra seat, just wanted to stop by and check out the stream. I saw
Give me
the
a
Joker
chat.
movie today and wanted to say it was really impressive and I loved it. Also was wondering if you could watch this xQcL.
Chat, I don't understand what's going on.
Holy fuck chat, the feds are here, we woo we woo we woo, it's the internet police chat, we have to run, everyone save yourself.
So warning, but who issued it? Who issued it? Question mark? Hold up, check, give me 10 seconds.
Chat, I have lived for over 105 years and seen many wars. I have seen many eruptions in my lifetime. I can see the future and I can see the past. If you all PayPal me $100 each, then I will solve the Yellowstone problem. I promise. Smile.
Check, give
Fail
me
Army
10 seconds.
777,777 two. L
Wait,
underscore,
what?
L underscore.
Dude, apparently my YouTube just got banned because my re-upload of a fail video had
I started high school a month and a half ago.
injuries in it.
It's been a hard transition. I just
But the
wanted to
main
say
video
thank
had
you,
50
XQC,
million
and
views
for always
with
putting a big
injuries in it.
smile on my face.
What?
xQcL. 6 months Bogu.
Hold up. Video.
7 duodecillion 700 and
Okay, listen to this. It says, our team has reviewed your content. Unfortunately, we think it violates our child safety policy and remove the content. XC reacts to best fails of all time. Best fails of all time. 40 million views. 40 million views. and they don't get rolled, I re-upload the reacting with like 100k views, and I get banned for it. I'm confused. I'm so confused. YouTube is the position I did this, to be honest. My YouTube works now?
YouTube is retarded. xQc woos then Twitch when it comes to bias.
YouTube is trash, it's just trash. YouTube is just absolute fucking trash and retarded, dude. Honestly, dude, Twitch is literally doing their best they can in every way possible to reach their level, to be honest. I think they're just trying to power through and meet them. Okay, well. It's only on my side? Yeah, but that's even worse. It's even worse that it's on my side. Okay, let's just move on, dude. Okay, what is this? I don't understand it. So are some videos clean of restrictions based on how many views they get?
I'm Mike Check, and tonight on Unsolved Internet Mysteries. Balloon Boy. Here's the story you probably know. On October 15th, 2009, Falcon Heaney, 6 years old, hopped into a balloon and was carried off into the air. For 2 hours and 60 miles, he traveled across the vistas of Colorado, eventually landing just shy of Denver International Airport. But when they opened up the saucer,
to worry about Yellowstone
there was no
Hold on, I'll
ball.
replay that.
At first it was feared that Falcon had fallen along the way, and a manhunt started to find the boy's body. But after a couple of hours, Falcon wandered into the living room of the family home and confessed that he had been hiding in a box in the attic of the garage. It was one of the biggest news stories and memes of the year.
What?
During the event, Balloon Boy was also the most searched term on Google. But it was an expensive game of hide and seek. Up to 50 rescue workers were involved, including 2 military helicopters, police, the Colorado National Guard, the Federal Aviation Administration, ambulances, firefighters, and the balloon drifted so close to the airport that a bunch of flights had to be rerouted. The total cost of the incident was estimated at $2 million. Press flocked to the Heaney home, and the family gave an interview on CNN. And then, this happened.
He's asking Falcon, did you hear us calling your name at any time? You did?
You did?
Why didn't you come out?
You guys said that we did this for a show.
Police and the press were quick to change angle from accident to publicity stunt. The mother and father were charged, and they pleaded guilty. So that's the story. Or is it? To this day, Richard Heaney, the father, adamantly claims it was never a hoax, just an experiment gone wrong.
Okay.
And after doing my own research, I'm starting to believe him. This is the story you probably don't know. Let's take a closer look at Richard Heaney. He's an interesting guy. He likes to do science and chase storms.
Getting into the path of the oncoming tornado.
He is also an inventor.
Hi, I'm inventor Richard Heaney, and boy, do I love my truck! That's why I would never permanently mount toolboxes or a lumber rack on the back. No! I'm going to use my pickup to pick up hot chicks! Yes! 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 Yes!
What the fuck is this?
He's obviously nuts and a bit of a human meme.
I just invented perpetual motion.
And what about the rest of the family? Youngest, Falcon, eldest, Bradford, his wife, Mayumi, originally from Japan, and middle child, Ryu. The family appeared on the hit reality TV show Wife Swap twice, and it was their behavior on the show that made the police and the press suspicious. Before we break down the case against Richard Heaney, I'm going to show you raw footage from the liftoff. Now, first thing, did you see it? Helium canisters. 3. They're big and they're expensive, and it's much more helium than they would need for a one-time hoax, but the right amount for ongoing experiments. This is a purpose-built structure for Richard's experiments. Seems elaborate for a hoax. A high-voltage sticker, because Richard really was testing electronics on board.
Why plead guilty? Wait, wouldn't pleading guilty be better overall for your case if, let's say, the truth didn't matter? If the truth didn't matter and you were going to be guilty, it is better to plead guilty, right?
This is a release cord, not a tether, by the way.
Whoa!
Cord costs are high, there you go. Also, yeah. Plea deal.
One of the loose tethers. Now Richard gets mad, and it really doesn't feel like acting. Either he genuinely is losing his temper over the loss of his balloon, or he's deliberately making himself out to look like an asshole. The kid sure is doing a good job of acting too, and remember that they would only have one take because there's only one balloon.
I'm trying to piece this together, dude.
A fourth canister.
This is kind of credible, dude.
But here's another weird thing. This photo from the police shows that Richard's electrical equipment for readings and experiments is still on board. Why? Why let your stuff get smashed out in a field somewhere? Now that you've seen the liftoff, let's look at the case against the Heenies. That the balloon couldn't have lifted Falcon. He called the news before 911. The live slip-up on television, a confession, and a guilty plea. Pretty airtight, right? Nope. Let's start from the top. Could this balloon lift a boy?
No way.
17 feet wide by 6 feet tall. With this, we can figure out the surface area and the volume. We also know the construction materials.
There's no fucking way to...
alfoil, cardboard, thin plywood, duct tape, wire, strings, tether. The balloon's total volume is over 900
consoles.
That gives us a lift potential of 65 pounds, minus the weight of the craft, and Falcon only weighed 37 pounds. The police weighed him. That gives you enough lift potential to raise the boy with another 11 to 12 pounds to spare. Next point. You're about to hear the 911 call. The media and police both said that Richard called the news first, then 911. That was a lie. The phone records show that he called the FAA first, because he knew they could track the balloon better. Then they told him to call 911 and he immediately did so. When he did, the 911 operator put him on hold. When taken off hold, Mayumi picks up the phone.
Okay. And so it was an experimental plane?
It's a flying saucer.
And that's gone too, right?
I'm sorry?
How long is the flying saucer gone as well?
We gotta get my son.
Okay. Hang on just 1 second. Don't hang up, okay? Just a minute.
They get put on hold for a second time.
Ma'am, does it have any kind of a tracking device or anything on it?
No.
Okay, where was the saucer? Was it in the backyard?
Yeah, here, take that. Hello?
Yes, is this Richard?
Yes, it is.
Was the flying saucer in the backyard?
Yes.
Okay, it obviously has electronics where he can know how to work it. He gets it up off the air, off the ground?
No. He doesn't know how it operates.
So we are sure that he's in that.
Yeah, we looked everywhere, and then my son just said me because we had it tethered. It wasn't supposed to take off.
So there's no electronics on it. There's no tracking device, right?
No.
Okay, hang on just a second.
By this point, they've now spent 20 minutes with the police, and they've been put on hold for a third time.
Guys, after 20 minutes, dude, 20 minutes? That shit's in the fucking out the stratosphere, dude.
So it was
it's in
no
the
wonder that they
motherfucking.
called the news and asked for a helicopter. Next point.
What did Falcon have to say about the answer he gave on CNN?
Well, what happened was, this Chinese reporter walked up to me. He asked me if I could show him how he got in the attic for his TV shows. So I said, okay. And then after that, another person asked me, so what happened about this balloon thing? I was like this. I did it for the show. I said that because I thought he was talking about the Chinese guy.
It's not a great excuse, but it's within the realm of possibility. On the day of the Heaney's arrest, the police issued a warrant to take phones, computers, documents, cameras, everything they could. And what did they find? Nothing. Nada. They interviewed Falcon, Brad, Rio, each several times without parental supervision. Again, what did they get? Nothing. So the police had nothing. That's not great for the prosecution. So the police would need a confession. They tried Richard, but he wasn't admitting to anything. So they pressed Mayumi, and she spilled the beans. But hold on, because her confession sucks. English is not her first language.
Uh-oh.
Police arranged the meeting under false pretenses, so she didn't have a lawyer with her. And also, it doesn't make any sense. She said in the confession that they built
Guys, I have a question, dude. In a court of law, right, where there's like a jury, does it play bad when you play it out as if you brought her in, right, with no lawyer and on the spot like that? Or does it not matter at all, dude? I think it play worse, like, dude, seriously?
In the confession
That's dog shit.
They built the craft only 2 weeks prior. Interesting. Here's Sherry from Wife Swap.
There was one point where I had to hold the spaceship and clean it and carry it, and Falcon ran into the spaceship and hid in there.
Built 2 weeks prior?
Entrapment.
Well, Sherry just said that she was cleaning it during filming, which was 8 months ago.
Are you suspicious of him, and if so, why?
Knowing him, I couldn't imagine that he would tell the whole country that his son was up in the balloon.
She also speaks about Falcon.
What's Falcon like?
Literally is the type of child that you would actually see that would go into the spaceship. So it wasn't surprising that maybe Richard might have thought he was in there.
So that leaves a big question. Why did the police pick on Richard?
Governor, who knows? He's probably going to run for governor, who knows? But not off my back.
How dare Richard Heaney accuse an honest man like Sheriff Alderton of... Oh. Richard said that he was taking it to court. He would not plead guilty. He would not confess. So over the next month, the police applied pressure, bringing up topics such as Mayumi's citizenship status and federal charges. It was lose-lose for Richard. Potential felonies, the cost of court and lawyers, his wife could be deported. The story was #1 on Google and the press had already decided it was a hoax, so any jury would be stacked against him.
What?
It was a hoax.
Yeah, we know.
Guilty or innocent, this plea was the only sensible choice
See?
he had.
That's what I said.
The Heaneys were handed a $36,000 fine and a short term in jail, and Richard would have to formally apologize in court before a judge and the police.
I'm very, very sorry. And I want to apologize to, all the rescue workers out there and the people that got involved in the community.
Lastly, despite poring over dozens of interviews over the span of 8 years, I have not been able to find one instance where Richard has been caught in a lie. There's evidence of the police lying, evidence of the media lying. Richard's story has not changed. So where does that leave us really?
Well, I have another question, dude. Another question. Wouldn't the government bring up her past shit and her citizenship and whatnot, right? In an effort because they are being pressured to get a conviction, right?
So where does that leave us really? One piece of evidence. This interview. The testimony of a sleep-deprived 6-year-old who's not even really listening to the question. That's it. Those 10 words are the main substance of the case against Richard Heaney. When I first started researching this story, I thought it would be a fun chance to take a few cheap shots at some liar from Colorado. But now I'm not so sure. I'm not saying for certain that this isn't a hoax, but I think there is more here than what was decided in the press and by memes in October of 2009.
Feels bad, man.
Hi, I'm inventor Richard Heaney. If you itch like a son of a twitch, then you need my latest invention, the patent-pending bear scratch. Check it out. Oh, man, this thing feels good. This thing's strong. Oh. Ah, God.
Dude, I think this was way worse though. This did.
xQcP carving time.
I'm inventor Richard Heaney, and boy, do I love my truck. That's why I would never permanently mount toolboxes or a lumber rack on the back. No, I'm going to use my pickup to pick up hot chicks. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah! HeaneyDuty.com.
He's obviously nuts and a bit of a human.
Holy shit, dude. That is absolute degeneracy, dude.
Get it?
Yeah. But it seems to be tracked.
We saw that last time, okay? We saw it, okay? You ended. Okay, janitor, is there 3? What is this? Ah! Oh yeah, that was what we just clicked on. Again? There's no again. What don't we watch? Guys, riddles are triggering me. Okay, guys, I'll do one. I'll do one. What time is it? I need a Coke though.
Loving your stream, Felix xQcL 777,777,777,777.
Chat, after that, I might do like a slipper. This shit's fucking amazing. Might do like an hour Destiny. I don't know yet. Maybe an hour.